People, we hear about the debt and the deficit, and they say that it's too boring, it's not a big deal, it's always been around, it always will be. What do you say?
Well, I think we're on cruise control to an economic meltdown here. $22 trillion is a very big number.
If we don't do something soon, then the choices are taken away from us. We can't do something. It'll be imposed upon us. China owns a third of our debt, for Pete's sake.
We need to wake up and smell the roses here. We're in year 10 of the longest business expansion in history. We're increasing the deficit at the very wrong time.
The fiscal deficit is probably the #1 unaddressed public policy issue in this country that Congress is just whistling past the graveyard.
All right, the debt's a big worry. But who's worried about it before any of those guys? I take nothing away from any of those guys. This next fellow, the U.S. Comptroller General under Bill Clinton and Bush 43, David Walker. David, you've been sounding the alarm for as long as I've known you, which is a long, long time. I'm not dating us, my friend. I'm just saying we've known each other a long, long time. And now other people are coming to realize it's actually a national security threat. But I don't see them coming in with specific proposals to bring it down, or at least to slow its growth. Does that worry you?
Well, look, here's the key. We're facing this debt ceiling limit. We're the only major country on earth that has a debt ceiling limit. We're a lag indicator. We ought to raise the debt ceiling $1 trillion, and we ought to move to replace it over the next year with a debt to GDP limit. That's what really matters. Not deficits per se, not total debt, but how much debt do you have as a percentage of your economy, and how much of your budget relates to interest cost. This is what we need to do. The other thing is, Neil, is right now we're trying to do an infrastructure program, but we have a unified budget. We count the operating expenses the same as investments, which is downright dumb. The states don't do that. So let's recognize reality. This debt ceiling, it does not work. It's never worked. It's a political football. And let's move to debt as a percentage of the economy, which will do two things. It will promote pro-growth policies to grow the denominator faster than the numerator, and it will force the Congress to have to put social insurance program, defense and other spending, and tax preferences on the table so that we can stabilize debt to GDP over time.
All right, well, if we do have debt to GDP, where are we now on this thing?
We're 80%.
Isn't our debt equal to what our GDP is?
Well, it depends on how you keep score.
Right.
If you just count public debt as a percentage of the economy, we're about 80. If you count total debt subject to the debt ceiling limit, which is what the debate is right now, we're about 105, okay? The bottom line is that, most economists will say, well, focus on public debt. Well, that's fine. Let's focus on public. Let's set a number. Is it 90%? Is it 100%? Whatever it is, we should not exceed that. And based on the path that we're on right now, we're headed towards that. So let's recognize reality. Let's get rid of things that don't work. Let's go to things that can work. And let's start recognizing the reality that you can't continue to spend more money than you make and charge it to the credit card and not expect to have some day of reckoning, and only God knows when that will be.
David Walker, thank you very, very much. We have a lot of breaking news. I do appreciate your input on this. And, of course, that ceiling will be hit within the next 24 hours. So here we go.